is actually part of ongoing research here at CU-Boulder that is looking at critical infrastructure and resilience. And so we've been looking at the 2013 flood, but we're really hoping that some of the ways in which our research team is working can help us think about leveraging on-term resilience. So you all are part then of ongoing research. That's why you have the human subject form. You don't need to sign the form, in part because we're not collecting any otherwise identifying information from you. And so you are at less risk for human subjects if we don't actually have your name, but you have all the information about the project. Know that at any point if you decide to withdraw from the research, all you have to do is let the research team know, specifically me, and I'll make sure that your audio recording doesn't actually get transcribed and nothing happens to it. And there are no there's no retribution or no problems that creates. So if you have any concerns about the research, just let me know. Otherwise, for everyone in the room, are you willing to consent to be part of this research? Yes. Yes. Anyone opt out? Wonderful. we would still have you, we just turn the audio recorder on. Two things. One, you're about to play a game. The table facilitator will be doing most of the job of walking you through, but the basics of the game are you have $1 million, and the goal, like life, is that you try to keep as much of the money by the end as possible. You'll be asked to do things like buy a house, look at flood mitigation, and also consider a variety of different actions you can take to manage your risk. Throughout the game, you'll have the opportunity to work with some information that was collected and developed by our research team. You'll also have the opportunity to pay for some experts who will give you advice and help you work through the information if that's something that's desirable to you. There'll be 3 rounds of the game. At each round, you'll actually be rolling the dice that some of you have been playing with this whole time. And a roll of the dice represents 10 years. And so you basically, in a 10-year time, roll the dice and see whether you experience a flood, and if so, how severe. Based on the choices that you've made, you'll actually have real damage numbers that are based on real numbers that come out of our engineering models. Throughout the game, part of what we're trying to do is get a sense of how people think about risk. So your facilitators may be asking you a barrage of questions. Humor them, please, and engage in kind of a conversation. We don't expect that everyone in your group might instantly agree, so please don't be afraid of kind of talking about how you're making sense of things. If you're drawing on previous experience or knowledge that isn't part of the game, that's cool. We assume that you're human beings who have all sorts of knowledge and expertise about these issues, so don't be afraid to kind of explain your thinking, even if it feels like it's outside the perimeter of the game. Okay? One thing that I realized that I screwed up on in creating a bunch of copies for this pilot is you've all taken a pre-survey, but the last question on the survey has blank number of feet, and there's no number there. So I'm going to give you a number, and if you want to revise your estimate of damage, do so based on the following information. You get 3 feet of water. Based on 3 feet of water in your basement, if you want to revise your damage estimate, do so. And I apologize for not catching my error earlier. What? Okay. With that, I will turn you all over to your capable table facilitators. And if any questions emerge as you play the game, feel free to lay me down and I can come over and check. Thank you all for being here. Great. Should be fun. So first, okay. So that's fine. We'll just get started. So in this first round, so we're going to buy.
I was trying to keep your. That's okay. I was trying to keep your information. Oh, okay.
All right.
Oh, Jesus. I should read it. Here we go. Oh, I didn't fill out anything. Is this okay, it's not outside. So you can So, guys, before we begin, I have a little script that I was suggested I can go through. So why don't I just hit the highlights? I'm a good subject of the test. We have a little electroshock. Okay. let's see. So the
Each goal is to.
we're in effect, I'm not celebrating, but you guys are one of us. So you're living together in a city. We have $1 million
Access to information.
we want to stop the games to divergence. It's in life. You're going to look up 10 decades, 10 years in each lifestyle. I'm the banker. The information comes from the analysis of the 2013. So let's get started. Before you start, any questions for you guys?
Okay, so actually, let's get started. Yes, so everything yes,
We can remove one table.
That's what I'm working on.
we're giving you $3 million.
Stay that you can still
have a long So the first house is,
Now we live in one house.
Yeah, this is
all right, so we
more like
basically
kitchen
have
table.
to consider. So it is building type.
So,
So we have to buy the house first.
Here's the flood rate map. You basically have two things to consider when you buy this house. Building type and flood. So the red house here has a finished occupied basement. And the blue house has a crawl
Yes, that's right, it
space.
is outside.
So, is that the same?
Yes.
Yeah, do you know if the utilities are in the crawl space or are they?
So, yeah, so this is the map that we use, once you decide which house is in
No, if there is a crawl space, then sure.
So I know people who have utilities in the crawl space and like that.
So you guys, basically, that's a great question. I have no comment, but if you guys want to make your knowledge, likely that's great.
Why is
Because that's such part of the
like an attic or like
So, the buying house inside or outside of the farm. Outside,
I think it's just like, like in a basement, but like, we're gonna have it, you don't actually have a basement, so like,
Blue is
it's
the
probably just like kind of raised, the house like raised up,
The
there's
light
like a
blue
tiny
is
little
500.
2-foot space, you can open up like a door and this is like your closet and your stuff and stuff.
outside of the 500.
So it's only like,
Once you decide
Well, this is just flood rate, so there won't be.
I guess that's nice, but I think it's possible.
But I mean, obviously.
Yeah, but it is more space here.
you got a pile of here we go.
Yeah. I mean, I like that
So
basement.
these prices are obviously not very but they're big.
Okay,
We can put a subletter in
So
there.
the three of us agree.
So, I'm going to give you $1 million.
I mean, I would rather outside.
From the beginning of this process, deciding where to go. Do you have any questions?
Oh.
Feelings?
Oh, like, yeah.
What do you help with this meeting?
Like the one that's
Like, what if your job is very close?
Because I guess if you're in outside the playground.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. We can imagine that.
Yeah, we work downtown.
This is the one that I would probably know how to.
I don't know what's the end of the game, but I will go for basement because that's more volume, because it's cheaper, and I will put it outside of the farm. Regulatory farm.
It's recounted, yes.
Okay.
Yes. No, I thought all of that is laying down together.
This is not actually past what it is.
So I think congratulations. Did you hear
Hey, that doesn't happen every day. You can be excited by that. This is fancier play money. That's these are easier to count.
Is there a reason that the basement outside the floodplain is less expensive?
Yeah.
I get why that's the case in the floodplain. Why is that the case? Do we know why that is outside the floodplain, or is this just like de facto?
Oh, no, I mean, I agree. Like,
That is a good,
I
that is good.
live in the.
Or shouldn't they be removed outside the floodplain?
Flood. I got
There is
flooded. So, I would much rather.
But it has.
And if we say that we're looking out here, then we're like
That's,
getting
that's,
here, we're
that's the
getting.
basis. So it's not real world. The basement smells worse. So you have something nice.
I would buy a house in a 100-year floodplain.
Oh, I had no idea. I didn't flood because I thought my apartment moved. I was like living out of state and I picked it not knowing it was older. I didn't know. Oh, well, I'm also flooding risk. So I had to make the house great. Well, technically it was like by that yellow spot, which is like technically near the elevated zone. But I've never.
I mean, a 100-year flood is a very rare.
So I didn't have a
1% figure rate, so.
Almost 30% in your mortgage.
Are there any areas?
So you go. I'm not going.
Alright, so let's just do the basement is on 500.
I don't know what's the rest of the game, so I'm guessing that it might be good to
Basements you don't remember as well.
because I'm on my money.
Yeah, alright, so, alright, have you made a decision on the house in the 500-year floodplain?
I
Yellow.
also, like, right by.
Are they gonna tell us that it's
I
an
was like,
earthquake?
Okay, once you
I know there was the.
What did you change?
I still want to live near Wonderland Lake.
I was afraid of. It would have been right, but wait, that made me.
Where do you have a spot you want? I don't know. I mean, if you don't want it to flood, then it's out there. To be perfectly honest.
What is helping you
This is
like
where
give us
it
areas?
doesn't flood.
Yeah,
It
but
doesn't flood in
I
Gunback.
think sort of be categorized, right?
Okay, so we're just gonna, we're putting it in.
Low reasonable.
Okay, pay up, please.
I was trying, but
It's
so it's
500,000.
wrong.
But also proximity to where.
Two.
Yourself.
So if I heard you right now.
Okay.
High moral character.
No, it's more about errors. Okay, somebody has to throw the dice. Okay.
That's what I'm going.
Should we need to pick a
So if you get a basement, you get a better value of the house. And we are out of the situation.
So it's
Getting
independent.
out. We actually outside from 1 to 500, so.
Well, I think what you were saying is that you don't, you're not required to pay for flood insurance, which means that your total inside that mortgage is lower. Living outside is not your floodplain.
But
That was
even,
like your main, that was what it seemed like your main reason.
better if they, because
Like
we have the 500.
like this area, maybe that.
Or above, outside of 500.
Theoretically, it should almost never flood unless like Noah's Ark happened.
With a little more time.
Okay, got some more.
Or maybe around here. I guess it's not really
Expect before flood.
I don't know if they.
But I feel like, are you thinking about your work and thinking about wanting to live by where you work?
Would you consider buying in the?
Yeah.
We literally own a house on this map is a 100-year floodplain, so yes, we would. It doesn't even have a crawl space, which is, I thought something interesting. Our house doesn't, like I said, it's a slab on grade, so there's no.
So maybe this was one just
Okay, so let's look at our level.
selection matters? Just to fill out.
Well, the flood had happened I guess a year before we purchased our house, and it didn't flood. It's landscaping. So we
But also,
knew that really the risk wasn't that high for us. And we don't have a crawl space or basement, so we don't have to worry about some pumps or that kind of groundwater infiltration.
lower floodplain.
But we're on the, slot.
That's true, there's a lot of flooding.
From flood grade. Yeah, I mean, it's flat on grade, but it's flat on slightly above grade. Our house might float away.
It's okay.
No, absolutely.
Is there any additional information that would help change this?
The second is dry roofing. And so there's a cost associated with that.
I think something like, well, knowing if utilities were
Okay, so now,
space, that
I
kind of
would now
thing.
have a house. Now we get to choose a mitigation.
That may have changed my, that may have changed my options, but.
Also, how the basement is really,
There's also an elevation.
what is actually, how much, it's just really full basement, or it's just a little bit you know, if you have access to the light in the basement or not, this is really, some pumps issues, or,
Yeah,
and all those
specifics to that.
specifics to the
Yeah,
location.
yeah, like the landscaping.
Yeah.
Yep, yeah.
But otherwise, I can,
Simple.
Simple, yeah.
but, this is what people should do always. First look, I'm willing to live with the risk or not. And if not, then it's definitely yellow area.
And then.
What are there any areas on this map that looks so dangerous that you would consider buying?
So it's.
Where you live?
We live, yeah, we live right there. Well, this isn't actually how it flooded in 2013.
Yeah.
I mean, part of it is what happened, but it's not actually what
What do you
happened.
plan on?
So,
No, because it's insurance rate line.
it's not.
It
like-
gives you the chance, but it
Yeah.
doesn't say it's really going to happen in any particular flood.
Where I live.
Definitely downstream of them.
Yeah.
Or more like, no, I don't live on downstream of the dam, I don't want to live downstream of the lake, which I don't know the owner.
So let's just walk through the three options. So.
Or, the really narrow canyon.
So that the first one.
Living in the canyon would be if you moved to it, sort of like cut out onto the river. I think about it, like, border that's still on, sort of those river edges with it.
And also, and even if your house survives, if you're looking, at any lots of these houses are just isolated.
I would
It's
want
just-
to
it has
have
mold.
my house elevated because I know it's huge. If like if the flood proof curve elevated, and I would also go for the wet flood proofing trees like a to avoid building today.
Three different options. The elevation. This
I think that's.
I'm giving you to scratch three options. Elevation, proofing. And any mitigation you actually
Maybe.
actually do as long as you can.
Maybe.
Well, it says some involving rocks.
But I don't know why you.
Yeah, so I
Why you
guess
actually change the flow.
Well, because I think that what we were trying to do might be
They're flood flaps. Basically, you collect the pressure across the wall. It's literally like a cat network, but for flood flaps.
right.
No, you have an issue that, if you have too much water pushing the foundation, it could actually make the whole house.
Collapses. So you can either collapse your house in, or you're allowing flood water to raise around your house.
So you apply the pressure, once you utilize the pressure, there's no hydrostatic pressure on the foundation. So you're trying to avoid that.
I was thinking technically.
And then there's a special design opening, which you're supposed to have, by square feet of your basement, and that's supposed to be, the
Just thinking about what I
ground.
know. I would want to take slightly more.
I would raise well, we live we're outside the floodplain, right? I would put our house, putting your furnace and your water heater on risers is usually probably going to cost $1,000, but it's usually a really easy fix to allow them to not be damaged in a flood.
That makes sense. If there was
The other thing which I will do to force me mitigation is let the stop cooking, so I don't lose the foundation and really something happens to it.
Yeah.
But otherwise,
Are we referring to flooding only from like surface flooding or trying to groundwater?
no, like our most personal, like our
I think it's, we're talking about
and like realize.
we're talking about any more the consequences.
Yeah, or the one that is more valuable.
Certainly, a basement can be flooded,
That,
that's well outside the
that's
flood
a
plain
fix
groundwater.
there's no mitigation, it doesn't cost us that.
In which case, something like dry floods.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
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 Okay, I guess that's
But our
something that
calculations of risk are
I think it will go.
I think it's sort of real world.
I think I will go.
Yeah, so let's just elevate.
Okay, because I know that there are people like Boulder who are not in floodplains.
Well, this is successful. Why we would actually all get the experts who are doing the inside and outside.
I will do the execution in case of really something happen. So I don't lose the total damage will be.
I think I will.
And also because I do not have it, so it will come out.
No, I think it makes sense.
Maybe that's
If you're that far outside the floodplain.
how much.
Oh, they're gonna flood us. That's part of the game.
I just feel like if you're that far outside the floodplain, I don't think it's worth having flood flashes. Flood flaps are.
Yeah, or something that will be.
What does it take to have a flood outside of 500 feet?
Yeah, that's true. Actually, that's what we're worried about.
But that's what I don't know, so.
Right.
I think we're based, this is all based on real right data.
I don't think that.
Okay, so
If I were someone came to my door and said, hey, you want to work out your house is $50,000, I'd be like, no, outside of
I don't even think I would do it if I wanted to do it. I would almost not do it if I were in the floodplain.
I'm saying,
Okay, no mitigation. Then correct me.
Do we want to put our face up on ours?
Oh, you don't have to decide right now.
Okay, alright.
You like movie?
Actually, no, it's yeah, they're actually buying it.
Yeah. Only one.
But they're buying it.
Yes.
Okay. So is there anything you'd like?
They are.
I think putting things up on prices now, but other than that,
You all see the sheets.
All right, pay up.
I don't know, do you guys want to do that? Do you not think it's worth it?
But what would it come with the, okay, so now.
It's the risk of having to replace 5,000 dollars, so, and usually someone like hot water,
It takes it up.
furnace will cost.
Yeah, go for it.
So whether or not it's.
Yeah, let's not do it, let's not, yeah.
None of the above.
None of the above.
None of the above.
That's big risk.
Let's go team.
No raise.
No, big restraint. We will have to fill 2 6s.
Yeah. Okay. I want to be clear, so I have no idea what the, like, how the decisions are being made. So, you know, I'm not learning information we reached the end of round one. Roll the dice. So, roll one. This dice, when you roll it, it's going to be a universe of to roll one, the higher number, that's the bigger number. 3 right here in the middle. Okay. Outside of the
Foundation, okay, now.
Even in our house, is out of the flood.
so you don't need to roll the slide here as we were saying. So, we have 3.
Alright, so now that you know,
Okay, you're supposed to write down your results. So your location is outside.
so the range of.
Inside of 500.
Your foundation type was.
We've experienced one flood. And foundation type, the mitigation levels.
You took no minutes. Okay.
Really? Even with
So you have experience.
So we made it through the first round, and now we're on to.
You have experience.
See you guys, that's a success. Success.
Yeah, I know. So that was for 10 years.
So, a small flood.
So it is the.
The
And then
depth
I'll take.
And when this be next, you have flood.
Oh, so you.
outside the flood zone was 0.
No.
So you have experience? No.
It was higher, lower.
Congratulations.
4 in the first round, and so.
Okay, and so obviously the cost was nothing at all. So you don't owe me anything. And you don't get any insurance or anything like that.
Nobody asked us if we want to insure structure.
That's true.
So go ahead. The ones that did that, was that stressful?
Well, it doesn't cover flood, so.
Okay, so we made it to round
So
two.
if we,
Your money.
because I will insure that. Nobody asked us.
I know, I missed it.
As if assistant, but not
Okay, made it to round
insurance.
two. So you still get to keep all the information first.
There's
No,
nothing about
no,
insurance.
there was, I'm just curious about whether I missed
We
it.
have a few more options now. So you can choose to change career houses.
We didn't need it.
You
We
can
have-
choose to change your litigation program.
We got to the point
Now
of,
we're gonna process
we
the
didn't have any damage
environmental
on it, so
insurance.
it's not really an issue, but insurance, I just talked to them, we
Still like an
can buy it.
You get the opportunity to buy insurance inside the
In part because she was one of the only ones that we want to see partly what happens if people think differently about insurance if they have or have not had it. So totally game rules not being real life.
Okay.
Not a problem, not experiencing. You've made it to round two. So, you have,
So now we know we have insurance options.
you already have to use your house, you buy it, and you pay the difference plus $1,000 in moving. You can still take any
We're going to assume that the insurance would allow us to like have some compensation.
The prices are listed in the.
Start looking at insurance options.
Prices. And, in addition, you have one additional resource for making your decision, which is an information sheet developed by a research team using data from 2010 years.
Oh, okay.
Here you go. For your building and basement. Add the data that is calculating the likelihood of benefit. It was derived from the
So round two is whenever, okay, so you have your insurance up there, congratulations. You made it past the first.
Will we get a discount if we purchase?
We get
Is the insurance discount?
So what would be your, all the mitigation?
Oh, if we had $5,000.
So.
That's real, that's real. That's what happened.
Well, it's a lot cheaper to have insurance.
Well, that was for me. So the
That's what
owner insurance.
I'm curious. Assuming you live out of the.
Not at the moment, but at the end of the game, yes. We'll even let you make it cover.
I mean,
So
actually,
you have
seeing
enough
that one
time.
of you guys usually have like, well,
Does that make sense?
Think about whether you want to buy insurance, or whether you want to purchase any of these mitigation options.
we're relying on FEMA's line, not like we can get insurance, we're relying on FEMA's really seeing like.
Is it having $5,000 before it and you can, and then you can still.
So when you fire out the
mitigation, actually you get one.
FEMA's not gonna really give that, like, they can
But
replace
you can also buy like.
I'm just finding this is our
So if you're buying.
well, if there's 8 feet of water, it makes sense.
But there's something missing here.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and give you your additional piece of information.
It's a structure damage and a content damage.
Is there telling me
So
what you
this
think
is
about
not,
this
this
information?
is for structure damage.
I'm offering series of the flood insurance options that I don't have
It's unrealistic, but whatever.
Realistic.
Yeah, no, I know.
So you mean it's the sheet metal guy, right? What do you make of that?
I think it's helpful understanding the FEMA's not relying on federal money to help fix your house and if there's gonna be flood water, but it's not an appropriate decision to make.
What do you get?
You wanna rely on insurance more than you wanna rely on federal relief, which I think we all do.
So this is, it's useful to a certain extent. It's useful in knowing that you might have money. You see anything else?
There's also one additional resource.
So insurance would, is a better bet if you actually want to protect your ground.
No, I don't think, well, that's just the.
Are you guys going to consider it? You have an option to buy insurance.
You guys consider buying insurance. This would be already $5,000.
What is the insurance? Like,
What does it cover?
So this is where it's range.
This is what they consider covered.
No, that's FEMA.
So I have,
But that's the
in
insurance.
calculating risks
Well,
and
actually, it was
success
matched
rounds,
this,
I
like,
have
it was, I
sets of options.
And I got right.
So in addition to FEMA coverage, you
But I
have
don't
insurance
think that
coverage.
That's what I'm saying. This is different than this. So insurance is for insurance companies.
Right, private.
It's still like, yeah, it's private. FEMA is like applying to the federal government for reimbursement after you. So
I'm personally.
That's the game?
That's reality.
That's
When my basement flooded in North Carolina, I got $5,000 FEMA.
That was
Yeah, but that's right on your own. So that's backed by people.
No.
totally separate.
For a federal.
There is no flood insurance except the one in the United States, except the one which is backed by people.
No, this is different answer to the question that you were asking. Federal flood insurance.
And one of the things is like, I mean, when it costs $100 maybe that's great. Like,
Yeah, that's what this is. So like in New Orleans, a lot of people apply for FEMA assistance after they're.
You have to pay this.
This is just the federal government giving
Yeah,
money.
just
No,
handing
but
money.
the flood insurance.
It is, but that's
It's
different.
No, but okay, so I am at home.
Do we want to buy like private flood insurance then?
when you buy car insurance, you know, the worst possible.
I feel
Worry about getting it.
it's about the last 10 years.
So what other?
Don't we're going through a century or
So it's 10 years.
just 10 years?
Oh, you mean,
No, no, I mean total.
3 around 7 years of your mortgage, so mortgage is paid.
So do we think that the cost of flood damage at any point is going to be higher than $5,000?
Okay, so now let's start.
What if we go 6? Can we see what the different levels are?
No.
You cannot roll the next with guns.
But you can have an idea of like if a 6 is considered to be 5 feet of water, then we can estimate what the cost of replacing stuff in that basin.
You have,
We can buy.
and that's the only data you have. So based on the data from the flood insurance cost and the anticipation of coverage, this does cover.
It just says it's $5,000. It doesn't say what kind of coverage you get. I assume it's what is it, 90% or something?
Okay. Okay. So are you thinking maybe now you want to change your mitigation option?
Interesting question. Yeah.
But this is a 5,000. I think if I have insurance, I have full coverage.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
I don't because maximum used to be ticket.
Insurance house. Okay. In other words, they want to know what the damage is initially cost.
Like if we pay $5,000 and our basic floods, what kind of coverage are we getting? Like percentage coverage.
So, insurance will cover everything but your deductible.
There's a friend.
Exactly, it's like, oh, my friend's every year.
If they lose the house, you just give me 2,000. They get a new house.
The good news is our damage models don't.
Okay, no.
But the premise of the game is you're paying $1,000
Deductible.
So this is for 10 years. So
That's more.
we would be using over the last year, 10,000 and potentially an extra 1,000. So it'd be 12,000 worst case scenario.
And you're not in floodplain,
Wonderful sleeping.
Okay, so let's just get it.
Let's go. Okay, this is your fight. Fight very much.
I don't know, in real life I probably.
It's over 10 years. It's $500 a year. It's more than much.
That sounds so it's logical. The rationale seems. What about other anything you want to do anything?
We just bought insurance. And here outside of 500.
It's time to
Oh, guys.
for your foundation type, insulation levels are.
Okay, let's see. So you still have.
We're skewing your data.
We have been to slash. We didn't know.
How much was that?
It doesn't cost the same.
I think it's Boulder, that thing's probably like $600,000.
I know, it's probably, yeah.
No, it's like millions.
Yeah, it's probably really not for
The
$10.
Google moved in, so it's millions.
We didn't know anything next week. Yeah, that's okay.
So this is the final round of the game. You have a chance again to find the house or to change your mitigation options or change your insurance costs. In this round, you also
Additional information.
okay. In this round, you also additional information.
The sheet lays out this
We're going to
this information is both information as well as we can follow. We literally have
how much you think
This is
you can purchase expert advice or expert advice and information.
I say no. It's funny because I do this for my job, but I'm literally a reject that person.
Yeah, after 20 years spending with FEMA, I think I'm good.
Information. I would reject. I would
There's
reject
enough
me
in-house, we
coming
apparently have
from
enough. And so the reason is you, between you guys, you have enough in-house expertise.
But the problem is we don't have them. We don't have those.
But you may not have the specific data.
Yeah, that's what we were asking for, which we cannot still get. But we don't know that. So should we buy insurance again and just roll the dice?
Yeah, I think, I mean, if we got insurance once, seemingly we would buy it again, right? Maybe if we got one of those prosperity ones.
No, once we don't have a mortgage, we can play the dice. No, we sell the house.
Sell the house where the real is. So, okay, so any of the thinking about the desirable continuing to buy insurance, the need for any additional?
I think if we were in a floodplain, I would absolutely say 100% yes.
So the extra. I don't know if it is yet.
This is just like sleeping at night kind of insurance.
It's $500 a year.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's like, what is it? Like 4 dinners with your wife in a restaurant. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, you're gonna miss that.
That's okay, that's fine. I kind of,
Or you know,
it's a low enough cost.
don't hit the curb with your car.
Yeah, exactly.
$500 is really nothing.
So you still maybe
You got the insurance.
If this were his real house.
But don't forget, you have a kids already.
Yeah, okay. You're the kind of person that's always, I'm sorry, talking about something. If we could, if we were outside the 500 flood zone and I had the data on exactly, which I do, actually where the flooding was in 2013, then we would make the decision based on like
There's gonna be 27 people.
and also based on like how, when we have this no, and it's like any information about like, you know, are there groundwater pollutants in the area, or like do my neighbors use some kind of protection? If I had that information.
No, but I'm looking, this is $4,000 if I really want information and expertise, so it's $4,000. But actually, I'd rather give you 5, have an insurance.
It is really interesting because this is sort of my job and
Where do you work?
this is sort of my job, so it actually is really good. Like in my own mind, when I would choose someone and when I wouldn't, try to decide which is why somebody would choose something like this.
So can we take the
under what circumstances would you get
I would choose someone if I had had flooding before, if I had issues with like sub pumps or groundwater flooding, if I were in the floodplain. That's somebody that I would be much more excited about this. But if I'm outside the floodplain and I kind of have information about
That's why I'm having an X-wire.
You know, if I'm closer to those groups, I might start considering different options because obviously that map is not correct. You know, so, and you know, FEMA has 25% damages outside of the special purpose area. You know, everything is special. So, but look, there we are.
Just to make sure, is that,
Right, so is it like?
No, that, you will see the other guys and they will surprise us with something.
I'm pretty happy with that. No expert has been chosen.
Okay. We give you $5 for insurance.
So, I believe we need a
Yes? It did it all!
Sure, it did. It makes a difference.
But I would like to know what happened if you had the 100 people.
Okay, we had a mom
He or she will be able to answer.
Yeah, okay. So whole city is flooded. Because we are flooded too.
Now we need to roll.
So I'm not struck.
Yeah, hold on, let me
Don't
just,
give it to
let
me.
me make sure I handle the part.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
another
but I
how
feel
many
like
feet of water we got in the house.
I don't know.
So it's possible that we don't get anything in the second one.
But like I.
Oh, it's gonna be one. No, we get something, I think.
Okay, so roll the second dice. Yeah, so it's a 3 flooding in your zone.
Your significant other decided that we are flooded.
So, okay.
So what's the
So
damage?
let's see.
You're trying to kill us.
So it's 46 years to death. So death in. So you had 5.
How come? You
Outside,
rolled
we're
4.
outside.
They were at 4 to 6. You did that for flood. So you had moderate flood, and you unfortunately experienced.
Oh.
So let me see how much damage was up you guys.
Insurance, $1,000 call
I believe that is actually the case.
Yes.
You would have.
You know that like mentally you're gonna be able to like deal
You would
or
have had to pay 16,000.
and like work through the process afterwards of like having to
We have 5 feet of water in the basement, and it was only $16,000.
It's a game.
And 4,000. You paid 16,000.
I would be curious.
Would have paid 4, but none of the above.
You see, this is 5, you don't get 4 from individual assistance, and
Like
then
a very small amount of damage to try to
let's
All right, how much do you need? Let's see. So originally this was 500.
no, it's
And then you've got
11.
11?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have 489,000.
You see, and if you get the damage, we will have. And we will.
I don't want to tell me.
We don't have to pay 16. Okay, sorry.
So.
Okay, yeah, good.
Do you want just the table order?
So we have. Be prepared for a flood with our.
The more comprehensive version. I would play this on the weekend.
No, I'm just disappointed that, you know, like, this thing got flooded, which means the whole, if we get flooded, the whole city is like disaster. Because we are outside of the high-risk areas and so on, and then if we get, you know, imagine everything was on this map. It's like 10, 15, 20 feet below.
That's actually no
Especially like, especially downtown whenever the, you know, slopes kind of level off. And if you're not right, you'll be happy with us.
It's like as the kind of so houses within the 100-year floodplain required to have chosen to elevate the cheapest house in the floodplain. And then we haven't chosen any of them. Still, then you got to bill every 10 years. And then commit when that lies into it. I've already looked at the thing there. We feel like many of you. Would that change how much money you can save on future events?
We also purchased flood insurance in the second round. We were already cautious with our first one had flooding in hand, but $0 in our pocket, and then it was like flooding in the second round.
I think we were cautious for that.
So we've been very lucky, but we also are curious at what our damages could have been.
Well, that's one of the reasons we thought about not buying the floodplain was we were talking about how you have, even in the game, that we didn't really buy insurance in real life. Anyway.
So the second time,
So I guess in this case, it wouldn't originally, maybe if we had played the game just as the game has been thinking about what actually happened.
And also, there's other things we can basically, what is the final cost of our house after 30 years? Well, if I live somewhere there's more, more demand. So after 30 years, I might sell this house for, let's say, double the price, while somewhere else I can sell it for 3 times or 4 times. So if I'm a homeowner, so suddenly, that's his number on this balance sheet. But considering that you're on the same time, it's not going to be that different, except if you unfortunately live in the
so this chart ran
so that you will be wiped out. Exactly. The structure will not be there.
and we had some experts who are.
So we have just
So how many times every year she deals with the cost for the information?
Yes.
An expert,
What if you
provides
say
all the information and an expert here knows where to stand.
Excuse me? Yes, 3 small
So
floods.
then you're gonna use what we like to talk about, so information about the information about the information.
No, I would, it would be in my, yeah,
2 strikes and I'm out.
I would go with 2 also, but.
Especially in this week. Yeah.
And you have one that's like, I don't think I would like the information.
Oh, it flooded, so we recreated it. Oh, it flooded again. So we, waterproof the, oh, it flooded again.
Yeah.
So I guess it might.
Because well, it seems like you can't do anything about it. Risks.
Yeah. It's like you live in China.
And also, like, we know about the flood, it's not just, oh, I got flooded, I pump water out, and so on, it's drying,
that's fine.
fixing
Yeah,
everything.
expert.
It's still,
Okay.
sometimes you smell it,
Yeah,
for
okay.
weeks. Suddenly you have a mold, that's also, if it's summer, okay, you pull everything out and so
They
on.
also
but-
sewage in your basement, and you probably do.
Yeah, so disinfection, and then also, if it's winter, how are you gonna dry everything? Just running your heating system.
They'll cover everything.
Or imagine if you lose the energy, suddenly you might get freezing. And then everything is just. So basically, I think 2 strikes.
Anytime you're playing a game.
I think I was only like houses are, and then the issue was overall.
And as well for us, it was cheaper because we were building up like our
Similar, but
10 years.
You
Like
mean like
insurance
you
payment.
had a bigger flood
Let's
every
just
like
say in
15
20 years you
years.
had 2 major floods versus like say 5 small.
Yeah.
I think that would make a little bit of a difference.
Probably not.
It's just kind of like you have something that happens like year after year. It's just that's more wearing on you versus being like, I live in a zone that's kind of risky. I understand that occasionally flooding might happen, but it's once every 10 or 15 years, and it's something that's like, okay, I have a foot of water in my house, but it's
It's also,
And we're assuming that like
it's the house where I grew up, it's a house where I raised my children. Suddenly there is much more attachment, much more history, and suddenly you're at that mall, I believe lots of people are at that mall. I want my life back, and my life back means,
like sentimental parts though if it's happening constantly. It's easier to be like, I'm done with this.
So this game kind of ruled out the stuff you just talked about, the mental attacks, the pointing out kids have some continuity in their lives. So this focus basically on financials. What some of the additional questions you described, so, whatever kinds of factors or aspects would influence.
Yeah, I know.
Qualification,
Yeah.
relative to, you know,
Right.
anything like food, you know.
Oh, I'm gonna be fine. Hopefully,
It's also,
job and a city
yeah, no, and also ability, okay, I say, okay, I will move up. But, you know, how much cost actually I have to burden in order to move up and let's say, it doesn't have to be same and so on, so, you know, FEMA has the buyout program, so, okay, if somebody comes in and says, okay, look, this is risky, you know, you're right, it is my money, and I can go not so far, in the same place and buy a new house. So, you know, some say, okay, there's different discussion than, oh, I have to leave this behind, I have to sell it at a loss. And then, what's next? Yeah. Or I have to put me to my work for, you know, extra 1 hour. Suddenly you start,
You get the same quality of life somewhere else.
Similar.
So even 99% of the time, you're fine. Something that's important. Okay, but you're able to get a deal.
Okay, I'm very happy, like, knowing like our insurance will pay $1,000, like, and then, like,
you might also consider mitigation, because suddenly if you go and says, okay, I want to mitigate my house, you might say,
and
okay,
I know.
maybe my family change, we don't need the basement, or we're gonna live without the basement, or we're gonna lift the house out. You know what, it's also a good option, you know, you can also find the plans for that, or this low interest loans. So say, okay, I'm gonna change my house. Maybe I even increase the value because it suddenly, you know, doesn't have those issues. That's it.
So it sounds like non-financial issues kind of weigh into your balance sheet, whether you're taking on mitigation. So you can avoid all that.
These idea of like, well, now I'm gonna, you know, just pay these
I want to know that information.
Yeah.
You know, have the house and now I'm gonna change
Doing
it.
your retirement, how much did you
aspect of conquering that,
Sorry.
what do you have? Like, you know, so that, yeah, sometimes it'll be fair and whatever, but we are hardier folks than that, we beat it. So, that again is
That
just
doesn't make sense to
like,
me.
the larger flight that we,
Like, I had it,
right,
right.
kind of flutters around, so we're ready to show nature.
So it's almost like, so it's almost like a challenge or an adventure,
Exactly.
or, you know, something.
That's like,
No, I totally understand that.
I'm just so good.
That's what I understood that, you know, living in a neighborhood that was almost there, and the challenge that I had was like, I found these guys who were willing to come and live in the house and do remediation, get everything done. And we were down there every day. It was kind of, I mean, it wasn't what I planned. But it was kind of
If you don't.
yeah, where you buy the car.
Not exactly there, but basically we had a good trend.
Yeah, we were, you know how they're.
Oh,
We were
so
oriented, we
good.
were right up
So,
the creek, so,
later
or we
you
did
know,
papers.
real
So I took them to go to training, and I just sort of.
So may I ask you a question?
No flood? Oh, yeah. No flood at all.
So,
As long as you're not like in imminent danger, like the flood certainly there are guys, but if you're in a place that's not like you're in immediate risk for death, you might get some water that's like the place doesn't change how you around too often. If it's something where I felt like, you know, if I lived on the coast and we got storms,
I mean, I think we'd be very
here
smart
that
to.
required evacuation, that would be like just a different level of risk that I was willing to take as well. My family were you driven over to kind of like
Yeah, there's a certain amount of adventure.
if we were living in a colony colony of bears. That would be different than a bear on their superior. Yeah.
But I have a question, because, I mentioned a couple disasters and so on, and I really understand and I really, I'm sometimes quite similar, let's fight it, let's hold the ground, let's basically. But now it's a kind of issue. As long as you're pushing the button, you need the resources of the community and the society to actually resolve those issues. And this is why the cost of disasters are climbing like crazy, because we are adding more and more expensive resources to bring those people out. And so now is the question, where is that limit where you're willing to say, okay, for my own purposes, I'd rather stay here, but so being socially responsible that I say, okay, I have to give up because I don't want to expose fire department, police, rescue people and so on, because every single time something happens, they have to bring those resources here and basically save me, because I'm not sustainable to take care of myself.
Yeah, I think that's very reasonable thing to say. It's kind of like the people who live on like a tiny island in the middle of the ocean, where there aren't the reasons, they're gonna have to be rescued by holiday or every year. With a book. I agree with you, there is that level of social responsibility where it's like, this is so, even though I live here, but I'm putting a lot of other people in my to live here, even though I love it. So I think I agree with you in that. I don't think probably where you live, Bruce, is that, it's not that situation. I think it's probably driven down your street, and gotten away relatively safely on your own. Without risking it, versus, some areas of the chain, it's where like, your bridge goes out,
So, yeah, if we had upfront, there's no pay for them, like,
the risk is so much higher.
Yeah. We had to make the initial decision to be the game we have.
So, that's always like, where's that level and how you can find it, and if you can actually bring it to the communities, because every community has a different understanding of it, because even though we say, okay, we help each other, protect each other, maybe, there's a level of, do you have to really be that extreme? So every single time you have to throw the rope. And that's something which I always see, like, even the politicians, they, let's hold it down, let's stay here, let's protect everything and so on, and then suddenly you do structural designs where basically they're building delays, moving sand on the beaches, and we all know it's insufficient, and there's going to be other disasters. And unfortunately, that disaster is going to be even more costly, because people suddenly feel like, we can build
risk
or
So it was exactly what the
I would think, it seems like you're speaking more as like a professional, and then also as like just a community. If you helped your neighbor, like, let's say your neighbor's house is in some sort of, somehow you're not, but your neighbor's in some sort of crazy location, and you're 6 months to a year, you're like, basically saving their life. That's a point at which you're
when we leave, right?
but also,
They are not
it seems
supposed to
selfish that
be
you're
in the
putting
flood,
these ways
right? But
to
they are
have me
affected.
save your life, just because you
For
want to
future
live
considerations,
perfectly.
we should not just like try
So I
to
think
save
that
it.
there's that aspect of like community, like being a good community.
I think it would be like, I want to try this, because like, if
My neighbor was
have
saying
a
like one
general
time,
like
that's
lack
great, but if my neighbor had saved my life like 6 times,
hazard,
do you just say thank you again? Like, what do you, there's that point of
like put dollar value.
exhaustion.
Oh,
It's
my
like, it's like,
yeah, like the
now just being irresponsible. Like, you're being an irresponsible community member.
Sometimes we say, it's like, why insurance has to go out because you have a Ferrari and driving 120 miles on the highway. I should not be violated, and I should not be on the road with you. I can stop you once and says, look, this is not smart. But then after I say, okay, everybody please out and let them do what they want, they got killed. It's the kind of the tipping point of where is the society responsible for you and where you're responsible for you. But where you find a level, in the education is understanding risk, coping with the risk, but also understanding that after disaster there's no point in covering. So everybody wants to help, but then suddenly we go back to the normal lives and we have those political decisions and you start finger pointing because, oh, this wasn't done.
Yeah, so how do you
and
track
so on.
it against you?
And you have communities where the people says, okay, I'm willing to live with the risk, but I don't want to levy from my house because, I don't want to live from something that has a wall. So I'm refusing to build a wall, but then the rest of the community says, but it will protect us.
It's also scary.
But I didn't move in to be protected. I moved in because I understand the risk.
Yeah.
And you have those.
Like this number.
Listen, the government, I mean, like you said, their buyout programs, I mean, that is kind of, that's sort of the sentiment behind buyout programs, is like,
It's very, guys, it's very interesting.
your structure is at such risk, so
The area around the creek,
that it's, we don't want to have to send resources to you anymore. We don't want you to
So it's not like
this
this, but
belongs to the
here,
environment.
But as well, I think we also think
The ocean comes here, the river comes here, and that's fine, but humans should live here.
Yes,
So
but
think about what you live, and then we're gonna tell you, we're gonna buy you out, and then we're gonna let anybody else live here. You're putting it on people at risk.
yeah, the story with the buyout program, now I'm talking really like president, is that once you buy the structure out, the community loses tax revenue, and for some communities, 10 houses means live or die. And suddenly they don't want those houses out, they rather go to their congressmen and senators and says, build the limit. Because then we will be safe. And it says, don't kill and they did very close to federal government, to all of us, okay. I can live with that sometimes not, but then also they purposely putting people in the risk because those structures have a limitation. And once the limitation is met, suddenly your disaster is even more costly and people die because of it.
Do you think people are moral or just sort of acting strictly on the basis of their own rationality? What's my cost of it? What's my psychological, cost of it? What's my sense of disruption? And they don't have to get my it's going to be a community or
So why would you even
Well, for all these things that we have been talking, that maybe doesn't have all the information.
No,
Just like partially.
it's just life. You come home, you have a kid, you have your job, the job, security, but you don't, hardly any of us have a dynamic job. You have to constantly compete. You're tired, you have your spouse, you have your, schools, it's a thing. You know what I'm talking about. We all understand. So suddenly,
That was
all the
exactly.
bad decision
That was
is,
exactly.
then you bought a house, most of our society, we always maximum our mortgages. It's always pressure is there. You can.
So it's just it's sort of bound to
I have to think that like you need to.
You don't want to
But it's like we're all like,
on your
yeah, like we're all
community, your
individual
state,
people,
your federal
like
government,
years,
your
we're
world.
just being
The biosphere, it's just too much.
and we know to
And I
actually,
pay taxes.
what is actually showing us general homeowners who like.
Look, I
have
pay
no
taxes.
Yeah, you can need someone else to work, pay people who work for the city to work.
So what if you find the most valuable in the decision making?
We're just always.
No matter what you do wrong.
You need a sheet that you have on the table. This game, what was it?
Yeah,
I think that
represent the city because it represents that sort of social consciousness.
I think we have.
I think that's definitely.
Do you think an event like a big flood kind of shifts that consciousness in a town with kind of tension between individual and collective?
It depends on the person.
Maybe, I think for me, like,
Some people take that as like they're excited to say
we
how many
made a decision based off
more government entities to do
like
things better.
recognize how we would have more secure. Do we have a family? Are we
Understand and stuff like that takes time, like it's not like all of a sudden.
So like recognizing
The
that
city is flood resilient and nothing's ever happened. Like, we're not like a walled city all of a sudden, flood water's taking it. And then I think there are people who are like, you should have done better in every regard, and you should have this fixed immediately. So I think it just depends on maybe like people's understanding of like what is feasible, like what their role is in making it better.
Does that change when like the 2000 shifted?
I didn't work here, I didn't work
Earlier
but my positions exist.
We didn't have the option to apply.
You guys can do
Maybe we should have.
I don't know, I guess.
You just have to.
Like I said, I think it just depends
But how
on
do we decide?
people respond to her too. Like,
We don't think about in this marriage.
we like tried like every day to do something tidy and like everyone very closely together, and then I think some people like help like next time we're gonna have a sandbag
You actually brought up having.
and it's all like I'm an island. So
I've got my zombie cellar and it's totally got my canned goods. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like,
In reality,
ground, but floodwaters came in.
But that, but like,
So yeah.
I don't know. You gotta think.
does that resonate with you?
I believe in Boulder now they do. This is like over the next 15 to 20 years. Because of the major flood event, people are going to slow down and forget about it and not be as
So
concerned.
bifurcates. That's interesting.
Oh, I need to have my phone back.
Pushes people to go.
You know, like in Louisville, because we lost one of the bridges, which are not super important, so it's still not built. But it's probably give the community a chance to actually discuss how it's going to be rebuilt. And actually, you know, maybe it's people actually kind of open up for, okay, we don't want some crazy structure here, but on another way, we need space. So they basically says, no, the bridge has to be higher than design, so they want some signals. So you kind of have to, you know, it's a little bit more expensive. You know, there was an impulse and there was also understanding why the bridge failed in the first time. So there is some learning experience. Collective learning, the issue here, which, you know, like being European, but people don't move too much, and moving to the United States, where even myself I moved like times already. So that history is not there, you know, like my grandma and, oh yeah, your grandma, or great grandma, or you know, my grandma, you know, it's like, you're talking some generation. Oh, this and this happened, and she remembers that, and so on. And, you know, so there is that kind of collective understanding, you know, this is not so easy as you think. Young boy.
Yeah. 100 years ago, we had
Yes.
exactly what I described.
Yeah, before First World War. And you're like, oh my God. You know, but the family lived there. You know, the house is 200 years old. And, you know,
Things like this build that unfortunately people away.
you know, there was an interesting joke that one kind of experienced guy which worked in a flood in Europe told me, every single time you go to the town, look where's the church. Because that's most likely. If it's not 100, it's definitely 500
Or that you don't get sick.
edge. Because imagine the churches were built first, they always kind of community. If they lose it, they're going to rebuild it on the same spot. They move it somewhere. But it's survived, right? If it's in the, you know, narrow floodplain, you know, obviously high, but many times, and you know, I look in some communities and it's like, it's especially in Prague, you know. Yes,
We have like little evangelical churches that were like built yesterday in the floodplain.
I mean, I'm on the streets before, but my experience is
You know, New York City Department of Conservation, you know. New York State Department of Conservation built that structure. They're big, unrestricted buildings. They're floodplains. I mean, regular in high risk. And it's the,
New York State Department. It's also different.
so it's an organization to help with this. And what they do? Okay, right here.
Yeah.
Are you still in New York?
That New York City area, Connecticut, New Jersey. Are you from around here? Like, where do you live now?
Louisville.
We've moved a lot too.
Took me like 3 months to be able to say Louisville. Say Louisville.
Yeah, Louisville.
And then people tell me, you're not in Kentucky.
I say Louisville too. It's hard to live. Hard to.
I made a survey for you guys.
Oh, survey again?
Survey? We do pre and post. You know, this is like the experiment.
Flood insurance, but they had a
Trying to see
major
whether the land
like
animals
every
experience the change.
Survey again?
and it's a short survey.
But it's the same.
Yeah, we also have a blood test.
Those surveys before, you understand exactly why it is what it is.
Exactly.
I know. I can be a smart ass.
To build like
Well, good at
I
that.
think you can handle being called that. I can
We've
handle
been working
anything.
together for years. and
Yeah,
let's
it's
gotta get that on the
Thank you all.
So we're starting to wrap up. I have two more questions. One was that you found any
But I still have
of this discussion on
We've got it, yeah.
that what information did you have that you would have wanted it? So beyond what you were talking about, but like, is there anything else? Like
evacuation. Okay. Okay. We're only talking about like trying to find people that into our home, but not like actually where are we gonna go? Who's gonna take shelter?
I would also want to know if there's a community like if I know my neighbors, if they could.
So we have one more minute before we take our survey and I just want to ask the last question.
It's really interesting.
Kind of wish they would tell you what you got. Money's so boring.
You wish it was longer?
Yeah, I think it was like numbers, $10,000.
Takes like
It is high.
maybe like giving us.
I don't know. It's not like the original one. They use them between the values. Yeah. I think they're
Series of
so
19 really.
they're so
Well,
valuable
it's
for the like you know the what?
It was definitely, so we
Webster and Hamilton.
we only had like 2
Those guys don't live in the.
It's been a while. Active role in the Treasury Department. And the family. 17.
using climate data.
Yes. That was something.
I guess it's open, like, I feel like rolling every single, like every 5 minutes, okay?
What about the fact that maybe climate change will have more maybe we didn't use this. Maybe this map is already valid for climate change.
Okay. And so at least having that part of the conversation.
Are you gonna do
Anything else?
wrap up?
Okay. Okay. Thank you all so much for sharing this time. It's great. Thanks for welcoming us to the North Van.
I think it's, should we do reviewing it?
And then I'll.
No, if you have a mortgage.
Yeah.
Can we buy this game?
What you're gonna do?
This would be really fun, you know, just trying to make it.
I got one.
You have your regular insurance and then you have flood insurance, correct?
Yeah.
So did you
That's what
have
we had to do when we got our.
like, did you have like one?
Like one of those like Liberty Mutual, like Geico or something.
It was groundwater for,
So it was like, actually they added on the home.
yeah, I was like, great.
So you didn't have extra flood insurance, it was just added onto your homeowners. I mean, I guess it's kind of ours.
It was the kind of insurance you get when you're but also, it also counted if you're and so
That's what happened?
well, no, but they get they came in and they said, it's fine. We've heard of some of that happening.
Did you get groundwater?
Okay.
Did you get groundwater
Guys.
infiltration? Did you get groundwater infiltration? Is that what happened?
That's kind of when they get it. They said it was assuming that the sewers had been.
I think 45% of people who were surveyed said that they're flooding across here.
Yeah,
I mean, people don't really no most of the time.
Yeah, that was the thing, they were like, well,
I'm happy to share that information for everyone.
great.
You can put a back.
Even though I had 2 windows, we left it in, just the river.
Well, if you do ever have
Play,
stuff that comes with the pipes, you can, if you do rain in your basement or like a shower in your basement or something,
Yeah.
you can put backflow prevention devices in your floor drains. They're super cheap, and the city actually gives them out. Like you
We
literally
never
just,
had any experience with it, and our neighbor did. We didn't have it. I think it
is
was.
your neighbor higher than you or lower?
So we are in the last moments
That makes sense.
of our session. Many of you are already working on the post survey. Thank you for doing that. I will make an announcement that all of Understanding Risk Boulder is wrapping up with a group photo out by the pond, and they would like as many of us as part of that experience as possible. So thank you all for your participation today. Finish up the surveys for us, and then please be part of the picture. Our whole team will be kind of available after that picture to answer questions, and or if there's anything you want to look at or talk to us about, we're happy to do that. Thank you all. We appreciate your willingness to play our game.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, yeah.